Welcome back to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. My name is Matt. I'm aka Road Jedi 88, and we're gonna do dailies. I'm sorry I have been out of commission the last couple days. Uh, as I mentioned, life does come first, and of course it's Easter Sunday at this point. But I got a little free moment to try to do some catch up and work on this. Heads up, I have been taking into consideration the idea of after I get us up to player 85, I might restart a new gamer's account, especially if I can't get the journey guides up and going, or because I mean this has been more of a practice run, an opportunity for me to learn how to do these walkthrough stuff, and also learn my recording stuff as well, editing, all that stuff. It's been a learning opportunity for me. And as I'm going through, I'm kind of discovering new approaches that I would have rather have taken. So I am taking that into consideration. So I'm still gonna have us go up to player level 85, but don't be surprised if these videos get replaced with a new approach. Just because I'm seeing things that could be that you know, showing that this could be done better, and I do want to be able to improve on my walkthrough skills here. So bear with me on that. Anyways, we're gonna go through our dailies first. Well, that sucked a little, but that's all right. We should be coming up to getting set up for a new character here pretty soon for the Coliseum purposes. Today is Sunday, so we have the Sunday Challenge special. Before I jump into that, I'm going to kind of tackle some of the other areas just to see if we can level up any, so we can have better access to any challenges that are next in line. I think we had some that we're going to have to wait a little bit for, but I want to say since we're about to hit player level 70, we should be seeing a new challenge open up too, if that's the case. Wow, that was a ridiculously close call. I find it ironic the squad was built just the same as mine, too. Interesting. Let's see if we can make any progress here. We might not, but it's worth a check out. Ow. Well, that was brutal. Yes, we got done with the second tier of the capital ship challenge. So as you can see, as we tear up, we're able to slot in more reinforcement ships to our fleet. So I won't be getting a 3-star victory on this. I'd be surprised if I actually can pull this off at all. We might need to hold off and build our fleet up a little bit more. Yeah, that's not happening. Alright. Go ahead and put in 1. But I do want to test something. Yep. Alright. So we gotta build our fleet up a little bit more. considering the last two battles took up practically our entire fleet, don't be surprised if we're not able to see the rest of this tier finished just yet. We might get lucky, we might surprise ourselves, but I'm just throwing that out there as a brace for impact. Yeah, we're gonna have to come back with that one. I already saw where that one was going. But that's some progress we've made in fleet battles. Still a long ways to go, but we have made some progress. Just because it looks like doesn't look like much. In retrospect, it actually is probably more than we give it credit for. Being caught in a corner of defeat never feels good, but it doesn't mean that we're doing terrible. I mean, we've just barely gotten into our fleet, our ship hollow table. We've still got a lot to cover, but we have covered some ground. So, all the more reason not to be coming down hard on ourselves about that one. I'm gonna check to see if EA by chance did anything with my app to correct the inability of getting in. Nope. And that's kind of another reason why I might start a new account. But since I have come a long ways and I don't want to just like bail on you guys over midway of getting to player level 85, I do want to at least see if we can go ahead and get that point, because with that being able to happen, that would mean I've at least done my job in helping get y'all past the tutorial phase. Now, if I go backtracking, that does mean I'm going to be repeating it again. But I can also break that down in ways that I probably didn't take into consideration before. So, and I might actually find an alternative route that saves me the headache of having to start all over again. But as I mentioned before, I want to make sure I'm being just as efficient and effective for anyone who's a new boot trying to get in this game or trying to make sense of this game. So, I see reasons why kind of restarting with different alternative approaches could be helpful. But if there's a way I can actually still pursue that, salvaging what I have already recorded for you guys, then that could save me the headache of having to start all over. It would be nice if EA Games would fix the journey guide. That would give me levers for you guys. I mean, I could still use my main account to show y'all the journey guide, but y'all would have to bear in mind that I'm going in with characters already muscled up, while you guys are still muscling up your characters. Which doesn't mean that you're not. Obviously you are. But it didn't take me overnight to get my characters where they are now with where they are at in the journey guide. I mean, it took some time to build up to where I am. So, I mean, that would be one thing I would, push for y'all to bear in mind if that's going to be the case. Excuse me. So, if anyone is already like 100 at, already got full rarity, all 7 rarity stars on them, whenever you pick up shards that you don't need more shards to, they get converted to this shard token store, shard store tokens. It's basically extra shards that you can actually put into expense for something else, instead of it just stacking up and you just having to trash it. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that before going into Sunday's challenge to see what all is available. Yes, so let's tackle this one. Yeah. If you guys really want a good story on Boba Fett, okay, those of y'all who follow Disney, yeah, you have the Book of Boba Fett. I don't recommend that one. But this is also coming from someone who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s of George Lucas' Star Wars. For those of y'all who are open-minded and curious to what Star Wars was like before Disney, check out the Mandalorian Armor book trilogy. The Mandalorian Armor book trilogy is... Oops, hold on. I need a back... Well, I might be able to still do this. But the Mandalorian Armor book trilogy is the original before Disney story behind how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit, how he survived that. I don't want to give too much spoilers, but it was not the Tusken Raiders who saved him. It was 2 of his bounty hunter friends, boyfriend and girlfriend, Aurora Singh and Dengar, who actually saved him out of the Sarlacc pit. Aurora Singh, in the books, it is known that she has a house out in the Dune Sea. And when this Jabba sail barge exploded, Aurora Singh and Dengar were at her house in the Dune Sea, and they saw the explosion. After Han, Leia, Luke, Lando, Chewie, 3PO, and R2, flew off from the explosion, Aurora Singh and Dengar actually went up to the site and saw Boba trying to climb out. His Mandalorian armor was... The metal was so hard for the Sarlacc that actually the Sarlacc itself was even trying to spit him out, because it couldn't swallow it. It couldn't there was no digestion happening. The Sarlacc was actually having a hard time because of the armor. Now Boba did come out a little messed up, and Aurora and Dengar did kind of have to help him heal up a little bit and also obtain his Slave One ship. That was the original story before Disney. And it does actually cover the story on how Boba Fett is going to die, how he really dies. I think in the last book, it covers it. So, for those of y'all who are curious about what Star Wars was like before Disney, There literally is a story for everything Disney has, what I call duct taped a story over. A lot of their stories, a lot of what Disney has done really was unnecessary. They really did not have to put a story in place of where there were already books covering. And there's a little suggestion that I grew up with, that if something is perfect, if something is working or is perfect, there's no need to fix it. Because if you try to fix something that is working or is perfect already, then you're likely to break it. And that's a lot of what my generation of Star Wars fans feel like Disney did to Star Wars. That's why there is, from our end, from our side of the fan war, why there is a fan war at all. It's because Disney, it's not towards the fans, it's actually towards Disney, and it's what they've done. Real, just feeling like a great deal of illiteracy and insensitivity towards the fans who long predate the Disney fans. It's like a lot of you guys who grew up on Harry Potter or Transformers even goes before me. But say Harry Potter or Hunger Games or whatever you guys grow up on, and you like the stories, you don't just watch the movies, you read the books too. You follow every other aspect of the franchise that makes you a true fandom to the fan base. And then they sell the story off, they sell the franchise off to someone else who promises they're going to take good care of it. But the next thing you see is a whole nother story. It doesn't follow anything you ever grew up with. Just changing every dynamic about it. And Force Awakening was the first time Disney did that to us. And I say the first time because they have repeatedly done it over and over and over. They've just been relentless with it. Okay, now there might not be a chance of seeing player level 72 just yet, but I'm just in case. If not, then we'll backtrack and catch the last of those. Alright, let's take a look to see what has developed over here. We were actually kind of waiting on the dark side, weren't we? To open up. And we still are. So there's probably not going to be much we can... Whoa. I was about to speak too soon. Let's go after this one. We have one to tackle. So let's tackle it. Yes, tackle. I'm going to text him, what do you expect? I'm playing with y'all. We're in a game, we're playing a game. We don't need to have a street war like Monopoly. Yeah, this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a whole nother battle tier to clear up. We didn't get all of that tier 2 of the fleet battles, but we got one more of the fleet battles on tier 2, and then we can go into the hard mode of that. That might take maybe another day or two, maybe a couple days at most, maybe, before we can get to the hard mode of that one. But even at that, we're gonna want to be building our fleet still. It's a slow process. And then CANTINA battles and light side battles, dark side battles, and then that final tier with the mod battles. We're making a lot of progress. Actually, we are coming a long ways with these. So let's just keep trucking along. Excuse me. You ever want any George Lucas era generation of Star Wars backstories? There is Star Wars Episode 1 Journal, Queen Amidala, Star Wars Episode 1 Journal, Episode 1 Anakin Skywalker, Star Wars Episode 1 Journal Darth Maul, Star Wars Journal Han Solo, Star Wars Journal Luke Skywalker, Star Wars Tales of Mos Eisley Cantina, Star Wars Tales of the Empire, Star Wars Tales of Jabba the Hutt's Palace, Tales of the Rebel Assault. You don't just only get backstories, but you also get point of view perspectives of certain events that you see in the movies. For example, it tells the Mos Eisley Cantina. You know how we watch Obi-Wan? Okay, first of all, here's a little joke. No, if Obi-Wan steps 1 foot into a cantina or a bar, someone is walking out with one less limb. Anyways, I'm not a stand-up comedian, I'm not a stand-up comedian. Anyways, take what you can get it. Anyways, I'm kidding. In the Tales of Mos Eisley Cantina, we watch Obi-Wan cut that dude's arm off. Everyone stares for a second, and then they go back to their business. We watch Han Solo shoot poor Greedo, who also has a sad backstory too. Actually, his backstory is downright depressing. We see everyone watch Greedo get die, and then they go about their business. And I've seen a lot of Disney generation movie reactors kind of laugh like, dude, I don't want to be in this bar. This is happening. Like, everyone's just going about their business. And there's limb chopping and murder happening in here. But in Tales of Mos Eisley Cantina, you actually get almost like a diary, journal, point of view, perspective of each of those sideline characters that we laugh at, acting like they don't care. They actually do have opinions about what happened. Now, there are some who do flat out not care. They're like, man, they probably deserved it kind of attitude. But then there's others that are like, sheesh, why did I even come here? You know? Like, you get mixed feelings from the people that are in that bar. Tales of Jabba the Hutt's palace. Some of those people are in there by force. They're slaves in there. They're not in there by choice. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out of Jabba's palace. And then all these events of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and the droids are coming in. They're Han being taken off to the carbonite. It's like you get their perspective of everything they're witnessing and what they're feeling in the events of everything that goes down in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. You get a little backstory on the various different bounty hunters in Tales of Bounty Hunters. If you're ever curious about that lineup of bounty hunters that are in The Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader is recruiting them to hunt down Han, from left to right, you have Boba Fett, Bosk, Zuckuss and Zero, or Forlom. Forlom in short term is Zero. And you have IG-88. A lot of you guys, I've seen y'all get just wowed by IG-11 in The Mandalorian. But I'm going to tell you right now, you guys have not seen nothing if you haven't even read about IG-88. Because he is so confident in his skills, he doesn't even think about committing suicide if he needs to. And I don't even know if there's a book where he might actually does finally die. He is a beast. Worst of all, with thermal detonators. Like, he doesn't even care about lobbing those things off. You guys thought IG-11 was a beast. You haven't seen nothing if you haven't read about IG-88. Because he's more intense than IG-11. IG-11 is wild, but he's nothing in comparison to IG-88. That was crazy to see Zero in The Mandalorian. It made me wonder where the hell Zuckuss was. Other than what I would read out of the Mandalorian Armor trilogy, you do get those two characters in that book trilogy. Zero belonged to Zuckuss. Zuckuss owned Zero. If anyone has ever dipped into the 1990s Goosebumps, Star Wars has what's called Galaxy of Fear. That's the Star Wars version of Goosebumps. And again, these are all just simple recommendations for anyone who are bookworms, who also are curious as to what Star Wars was like before Disney. You want to find out why specifically The Force Awakening was a nightmare for us. Read Young Jedi Knights and read The New Jedi Order from the 1990s to the 2000s. Those books are why we are feuding Disney over Force Awakening from episode 7 to episode 10 now. That's why they have us just warring on them. So, like I said, the war is not intended to be directed towards the fans, and it's not because we're haters of Star Wars. We love Star Wars. We hate Disney because of what Disney has done to Star Wars. And it's because of what we knew about Star Wars before Disney. It didn't need all that change up. It really didn't. So, there's the Cantina battles. We breezed through that. I've got about an hour on this video, so I'll probably need to upload this. Don't see us building up much more. I know I need to tap more about the mods. It's Easter Sunday. But I've already got about an hour in this video here. And we have accomplished some stuff. So, actually, before I go into the character upgrading, I need to run through these challenges because we are not going to see player level 72 today. I didn't know what all could happen, but might as well go ahead and snag up the last of it. Alright. And we do need to check in with our guild territory battles. I hope I'm not in too much trouble for having missed the last couple of days. To be fair, I'm surprised I've even been able to contribute much to that particular territory battle at all. I don't know if within the next phase if I really had much to offer, considering it is supposed to get tougher. But I still could have contributed into the battlefield, the territory battlefields, and that I am aware of. Like I said, life does what life does sometimes and pulls us away from fun things. So it was by no intentions, by no means, it definitely was not my intention to be dodging out on the last one or two phases of the guild's territory battles. So while I'm here, that's the other thing, I need to check in and do my part, because it was never my intention to bail out or neglect them. Life does what life does. And it needs our attention first before this game, so. We should be good, though. We'll be alright. To be fair, that territory battle, that particular one, the Geonosis one, is a much tougher territory battle. So, it is kind of daunting for players that are aware of how hard it is. Kind of daunting to them. Probably making it all the more harder for the guild leaders and officers to rally, attention and help in that. Sometimes I miss getting be in a lead position for the guild, and other times I'm kind of glad I'm not. But because there's a lot of things you have to stay on top of as a guild leader or a guild officer. If you want to keep the guild alive and healthy, there's a lot of attention needed. And at the same time, because it's a guild in a game, there's only so much the guild leaders can do about what they have to stay on top of. I mean, They can stay on top of it, but there's only so much they can do at the same time, too. But, I mean, they do their best, I'm sure. But it makes their efforts in leading the guild a little less annoying, if for a better choice of words. I mean, I would say harder, but again, it's just a game. But less annoying, because I mean, you want to be able to have success in a game, right? And if you're relying on a team and you can't get all the team members to be participating like you need them to be, all right, you can't put life before a game. But I mean, we got to be able to have these, moments of distressing ourselves from that life, and being able to feel that sense of success, even if it's virtual. If you can't get team cooperation, it can be kind of annoying. As I mentioned before, I'm a chess player. You have any idea how easy it is to find other chess players I can play against recreationally? Like, nearly non-existent in my personal life. My best bet is joining chess clubs when I was in school, and then amazingly, actually being in sober recovery centers, I actually would come across some chess players there. You'd be surprised at how many intellectual people actually go through recovery. They're not all brain dead from blitzing themselves. But, when you're playing a game where you need team players or someone who's skilled in a game or something, someone who holds interest in the same type of game, it can be hard sometimes finding the right people to share that experience with. And games are meant to help either challenge the mind, more so distress and escape from the world momentarily, Otherwise, we give ourselves strokes and heart attacks from killing ourselves from worrying about every single thing in the world that there's only so much we can do about. It's not worth our lives. I mean, it needs our life's attention, but what good is it to live out our lives if we're killing ourselves for it? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I could have actually saved up on doing those challenges. Oh well. They'll cycle around this week. I can't believe that just happened. That's okay. They cycle around throughout the week. We're gonna run into them again, and we will get to level up in those challenges. We will. I just wish that had happened sooner before I jumped the gun on that. If in the off chance y'all are watching this before attempting any gameplay on your end and you saw what just happened, maybe you can take note to self of another person's mistake. Counsel suggestion of life's wisdom. You can also learn from other people's mistakes. You can learn from my mistake just now. If you are at the same position I was when I started this video, and you saw that now I'm at player level 72, that means 3 of those challenges just unlocked. But because I ran all my sim tickets at my turns on those, I can't go back to them. So learn from my mistake is my recommendation. I don't mind being your your crash dummy. Anyone seen Tombstone knows what I meant by that. I'm your Huckleberry. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Holy crap. Before I do that, well, let me keep administering medicine to these guys. Equipment. What are guys I can send to the gym and beef up a little? Whoa! Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta end this video before I get cut off. I might have to do a little more character build up in the next video. But this is a lot. It's a good thing. We need this. This is a lot. One of the few rare moments I will say I appreciate about Disney Star Wars is them covering the way they covered the pre-A New Hope Star Wars stories. They actually kind of kept mostly true to the backstories that were already in place. Now, there are areas they could have done better about, like not having fans believing Aurora Singh was killed in Solo. Because how the hell was she supposed to save Boba out of the Sarlacc pit from the original Star Wars story? And we don't do the legend canon thing. This is Star Wars, not Star Trek. Star Trek does the timeline jumping crap. Star Wars never has. Just saying. Jeez, how many more guys are up for recruitment? Okay, so there is a backstory behind that bounty hunter suit that Lando had in the Millennium Falcon, which of course carried over to Han Solo, and then of course Leia made use of again in Return of the Jedi. That bounty hunter suit actually did belong to a bounty hunter, hence bounty hunter suit. But I'm trying to remember the specificness to the backstory, and I'm trying to remember if it was in Revenge of Zorba the Hutt book or if it was in the Bounty Hunter Wars book. I don't think it was in Tales of the Bounty Hunters. It was a bounty hunter from like the olden days, like supposedly claimed to have been from the Clone Wars era. Actually, I think it was a bounty hunter that did go that far back, but somehow Lando, of course, ended up with it, with the suit, because he dealt with the bounty hunter that wore the suit, and it was actually supposed to be a relatively good bounty hunter, supposedly. Like he was supposedly it's supposed to have been a pretty fearsome bounty hunter, according to the backstory. That it's been a long time since I've read it, so my memory is vague on it. But I know I came across a book where it popped up. Revenge of Zorba the Hutt might have been a little more focused on the backstory of how Lando lost his Falcon to Han. Zorba the Hutt is Jabba the Hutt's uncle. And in the book, supposedly after Leia had killed Jabba and Zorba found out about this, he goes on a hunt for Princess Leia so he can get his revenge against her. And of course he didn't know exactly where to track her down, but he knew who she was associated with. When Han came to name, he knew Lando was associated with Han, and he knew all of Lando's establishments. Tracked Lando down through one of his establishments. Cloud City was just one of them. Yeah, we're going to need to work on some mods again here pretty soon, and we will. There's a lot to cover when it comes to processing what to do with mods, so I hope whatever I have already released in terms of mods in previous videos, I do hope that those have been helpful so far. You might even be able to jump ahead of what I've provided already on some of your other characters. So, I mean, you don't have to necessarily wait on me to catch up, but I will. I just need some time to sit down and look at all that, because it is some tedious work. You know, with the Star Wars Journal Luke Skywalker, that would give Disney backstory use for a Kenobi Season 2. I'm just throwing it out there. Although I would agree, anyone who has read it, because it is a short book, it could use a little more build-up around it, just a little bit. But cautiously, please. Because, I mean, Andor and Rogue One, they got damn lucky with that one. Solo, they came close to being damn lucky, but there was a couple things that was way too Disney that could have just been left out and left alone. Like Kira, she was a Disney edition. Really, all you needed was the Kessel Run. I suppose we could have made use of Crimson Dawn, I suppose. That's kind of a debatable one. But killing off Aurora Singh, the suggestion that was who was getting killed off by that Crimson Dawn leader. Kira, I questioned the Beckett part too. But those could have been just left out. In retrospect, almost everything else that was in the Solo movie has actually been covered in backstories from books that are post Return of the Jedi. Like I said, Revenge of Zorba the Hutt is one of them. There's a lot of books that you get fragment pieces, backstory pieces on Han Solo, Lando, the Falcon, Chewbacca. They're fragment pieces in each of the run-ins that you have with backstories, but they, from everything I remember reading, they covered quite a bit of it pretty well. Kira and Elements of Crimson Dawn and the idea of killing Aurora Singh, that could have and should have been left out. And that would have made Solo even better, in my opinion, because it would have held true to what was already written in place from the George Lucas era. Kenobi Season 1, I'll humor that one. There is backstories of Kenobi and Luke. As far as Kenobi and Leia, honestly, there really isn't. Not that I recall. I don't remember any books from the George Lucas era that covers Obi-Wan and Leia ever meeting. Leia did grow up knowing about Kenobi because of her adopted dad, Bail Organa. Her adopted mother, did suffer with some depression issues just because of how the turnout of the war and everything. There were some on and off domestic struggles, but there's never been any backstory suggesting that Leia ever met Obi-Wan Kenobi until the Death Star. And even at that, she really didn't even get to meet him at all. So, but it still wasn't too bad of a season. But if they were to do a season 2, I would recommend them looking at books like Star Wars Journal of Luke Skywalker, because it does have backstories that they can utilize for building on to a season 2 of Kenobi. You get the backstories between Luke Skywalker and Biggs Antilles doing racing out in the Dune Sea. Luke, just like his father, Anakin, was into racing. He didn't do pod racing, he did a different type of racing. That ship model that Luke holds onto that supposedly Kenobi gave him, apparently him and Biggs have a real one that they would race out in the Dune Sea. And it was a dangerous race. There was a rock piece out in the Dune Sea called the Needle's Eye they would try to race through. A lot of people would crash through it. Luke and Biggs were among one of the few that could actually make it through without crashing. Anyways, then everything is, every time I pull out, it looks like something new has popped up. Alright, I think we are good for now. We'll have to come back for the mod stuff. I know I keep saying that, and I have a little bit, but it is a lot to work through. We're getting a lot of characters to work with. So, where are we at with this? Do we have any new tiers opening up? Not quite. We're still waiting on that last one. Okay. Alright, so subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below, and I will see y'all in the next videos. May the Force be with you.